Good morning, everybody. Here we are again, your automotive advisory team, right here live in the studio in North Palm Beach, Florida. And we're getting ready to listen to your calls and questions and inquiries. This is a live radio talk show, and we also have streaming. We're streaming on Facebook and YouTube. We'd love to hear from you wherever you happen to run across us. We started out just as a local show about 20 years ago, and now we're all over the globe. And we're also videoing everything. YouTube is a huge channel for us. I think YouTube is like the number 2 social media, digital kind of a community thing in the world next to TikTok. And we've all heard about TikTok. We're not on TikTok yet, I don't think, but we are on YouTube. Rick Kearney, who is sitting to my right here, he's our certified diagnostic master technician that really is an expert on the internal goings-on of your vehicle, whether it's hybrid, gasoline-powered, or all-electric. You can ask Rick right here live on the show. You call us at 877-960-9960, 877-960-9960, and say, hey, Rick, I got a strange noise, and you can either send us an audio file, or you can just impersonate the noise, tick, 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 or whatever it is. And yeah, that's a good one. That was Stu across the studio from me here. And Rick will give you a diagnosis, free, no charge, save you a lot of money, maybe a lot of aggravation, concern. If it is something serious, and he'll advise you of that too. But usually when these squeak, rattles, and rolls you hear in a car, you smell things, and usually it's nothing. I mean, it's not a big deal. But once in a while it can be. So if you could call us at 877-960-9960, Rick can help you there. You can text us too. My son Stu across the way from me here is watching the text as they come in. 772-497-6530. 772-497-6530. And we'd love to hear from you ladies out there. Nancy Stewart, who you regular listeners know, has been with me for a long, long time on this show. We founded it back Seaview Radio when it was only a half an hour show on Saturday. Now here we are. No, it was Thursday. Yeah, Thursday. Then we moved to Saturday, and then it went from half hour to an hour to 2 hours. And we'll be on 8 to 10 this morning, Eastern Standard Time. We'd love to hear from you. And Nancy Stewart, she's built the female audience. We're having more female callers than ever. We're usually right around 50-50. And we have a special offer, Nancy does actually. And in a moment, I'll introduce you to her, and she'll tell you about the special offer for the lady listeners out there. We have a line that is we just don't get enough calls on youranonymousfeedback.com. That's a URL, that's a web page, and you go to Your Anonymous Feedback, just the way it's spelled, it sounds, youranonymousfeedback.com. And you can communicate with us one way if you want. Just say what you want to say, any way you want to say it. If you want to swear, that's okay. We won't read the profanities on the air, but we'll go bleep, and we'll get your idea across, I promise. We love your anonymous feedback, and we get those scatterings. We used to get a lot. It used to be almost our favorite source, and it kind of tapered off there. Right now, YouTube is still our strongest source. YouTube.com/Earl on Cars. And I didn't even mention Facebook. That's Facebook.com/Earl on Cars. Facebook has faded from popularity. I think with the generational changes we're seeing, Facebook, I'm big on Facebook, Nancy's big on Facebook, but it's down there like number 5 or 6 in the choice of the social media. YouTube's still quite high. I don't know how we're going to get on TikTok. Maybe they might be banned by the time we figure out if we want to be on TikTok, but it is entertaining. I mean, Stu told me to check it out. He says it can be amusing and entertaining, and it is.
I'm starting to retract my suggestion now.
Anyway, here we are. You make the show. I can yak forever. all of us, we love to talk. I mean, that's the reason we're on a talk show, right? So excuse us when we go on and on, but we all tend to do that. We'd rather hear what you had to say and ask questions we can answer. We can answer most of them. If not, we get sneaky and we go to Google, who knows everything. And we've got this artificial intelligence thing going on, which is just, I'm a techie. I love that kind of stuff, and it is just absolutely amazing. I wrote a blog. I do a blog every week, and I wrote a blog that I confessed it wasn't me. It was artificial intelligence wrote the blog. Just you tell the AI what you want to talk about, and it's like a robot, intelligent robot, and they do things like that. I actually saw, I believe it was on the news last night or the night before.
Last night.
You can read. It can read minds. Artificial intelligence, by showing them pictures that of things that you think about, they can tell you what your reaction is to the picture by photographing the inner workings, interior of your mind, the way the neurons run. It's like a heat map kind of a thing. It's really spooky, really getting scary. In fact, maybe I'm not really Earl Stewart. Maybe I'm AI. This could be a big, big thing, right? I'm going to do the whole show. At the end of the show, I'll tell you if it's really me or if I'm Chatbot or something like that.
Okay.
Anyway,
You're a deep fake.
I almost forgot about the most popular part of the show. It's routine to us because we've been doing it for so long, but undercover agent goes out. This is for the new people. I know your regulars know this. Undercover agent goes out somewhere, usually in Florida. This time it was in Tennessee, Chattanooga. And visited a car dealership. And every week we do the same thing. We've got hundreds of mystery shopping reports. Pretend to buy or lease a car, and then we relate back to you exactly what happened, and we don't pull any punches. We name names. If they do naughty things, we say it. I mean, we say that is against the law. This dealership broke the law. We mention the salesperson's name, the manager's name, the dealer's name, the location, the whole 9 yards. If you were tuned in when the show started, you heard the disclaimer that the owner of the radio station rightfully does. He says, "Hey," not in these exact words, but this Earl Stewart and Cars, they're responsible for everything they say. I have nothing to do with it. I disavow any knowledge. I mean, they really have to legally get themselves off the hook, or the radio station could be sued. But we've never been sued. I just knocked on wood. We've never been almost sued.
Got a letter.
Yeah. We got a nasty letter from a lawyer one time, but they won't ever take us to court. Why? Because we tell the truth. And you lawyers out there know that the truth is a perfect defense against libel and slander. So you can say anything you want on radio, television, Facebook, YouTube. You can say anything you want as long as it's the truth. So that's what we do. We tell the truth about the car dealers. And I think it should be an asset to you car dealers out there who are listening, and we know you are. You don't call the show, but we know you're out there. You should listen. You know, we mystery shop our own dealership, by the way. We, in full transparency, we have a Toyota dealership in North Palm Beach, and we mystery shop ourselves. Why? Because we know we're not perfect. Nobody's perfect. And we find out things that we're doing wrong, and we make modifications. I mean, when you have we've got about 30 salespeople, and we've got probably twice that number of people in the service department, and individuals are individuals. They're not perfect. So when your employees are doing things they shouldn't be, you dealers out there, you owners, you managers, should know about it. Mystery shop yourself. If not, listen to us, and we will do it for you. And you could go online to Earl on Cars, and we have all of our mystery shopping reports archived. And you can go back and check dealers. We have a good dealer list, a bad dealer list. I'm starting to ramble too much. I'm going to go to Nancy.
Yes.
And she's waving at me now.
Good morning, everyone. You're an important part of the show. I want to take a moment and let the ladies know they've really been instrumental in getting us here, right where we are. And we don't take that for granted. I want to let all the ladies know this morning, first two new lady callers, you can win yourself $50. Just give us a call. Let us know how your purchasing or servicing experience went, or just give us a call to say hello. 877-960-9960. And if you're in the market for a used car vehicle and, maybe you're going to spend that tax refund, well, the news isn't real good. The prices are rising on used cars. Yes, they are rising. So you got a little bit of time to get out there and take a look around and do some research. 877-960-9960, or you can text us at 772-497-6530. We have a lot to get to. We're going to go right to the phones. And don't forget, youranonymousfeedback.com. We're going to go to Kay, who's calling us from Plantation. She's a first-time caller, and she has been very patient, waiting for us to take her call. Good morning, Kay.
Hi, good morning.
Welcome. You just won yourself $50, Kay.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you very
Stay
much.
on the line and give your contact information to Jeremy in the control room, and I can get
Okay.
that check out to you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, welcome. What can we do for you?
I have a 2006 Pontiac Grand Prix, and I was watching it yesterday with the hood up because I was filling the windshield wiper container, and I think with the hose, I lost the top of the container. It may be in my car somewhere. I couldn't find it. I didn't see it on the ground. So right now I only use water in the windshield wiper container, and I was wondering, do I have to get a lid, or could I put foil on that? Or, I mean, I'm going to get a new car pretty soon, so, but I was just wondering how important that is that I have the lid on the windshield wiper container.
Tin foil and a rubber band. Simple answer.
Oh, great.
Because most times you can't buy just the cap. They want to sell you the entire washer jar. Sometimes you can get just the cap, but even then it's like $8 or $10. A nickel's worth of tin foil and a rubber band. Problem solved.
Thank you so much. That's a relief.
Isn't that great to hear, Kay? I mean,
Yes.
you think that, you've got a catastrophe on your hands because that lid, what it looks like as if it's so protecting and so many other things. But Rick always has the answers.
Great. Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome, Kay.
Welcome.
Spread the word. Let your lady friends know that we do give $50 for the first two new lady callers, and each and every one of you can help me build a platform here. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You too.
We're going to go to Bob, who is calling us from Maryland, I believe. Good morning, Bob. Welcome. Good morning, Bob.
Oh, good morning. Thank you for taking my call.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for calling.
Sure. We listen every Saturday.
Oh, thank you.
I have a two-part question for Rick. Rick, my daughter has a 2008 Scion, and she had an oil leak. She went to a mechanic, and they said it was a valve cover gasket.
Okay.
And they told her that the reason that she had a leak was because she did not use synthetic oil. She has used conventional oil. She said they said had she used synthetic oil, she wouldn't have had the leak. Is that accurate?
Nope. Not at all. 2008, you're talking, 15 years of that
Right.
rubber. The rubber gasket on that just is a little thin layer of rubber that fits in a groove, and it seals the valve cover down onto the cylinder head. They're going to deteriorate over time. That rubber's going to harden up. It reacts to the oil, so it's a natural thing. It's really not a super expensive repair. The part should be around $40, $50 at the most. The labor to replace it, less than $200. And for that car, really not that much to get you right back on the road. It's just a normal, things wear out eventually, and not that big a deal.
Wasn't her fault.
Not her fault at all.
Okay, thank you. Second part of the question is,
I think Rick needs to recover.
I'm sorry.
That's right. He's
That's
allergic
okay.
to me.
yeah. Second part of the question is, or the second question is, before she had that fix, she had gone to a gas station to get some oil, just in case she needed to top off her oil tank there. And they said they wouldn't sell her the oil that they had because it was an expensive oil, and she had been putting what they said was cheap oil in, the same weight, same numbers, but they said you can't mix an expensive oil and a cheap oil, even if the numbers are the same. Is that fair?
Where? Oh,
Rick's face right
Well,
now.
there's a lot of
he looks kind of like
misinformation
were
out
there
Tucker
some
there.
funny smells coming from that office?
Honestly, where are they located?
Yeah.
Wow, that must be in Colorado or California, because somebody was doing something there they probably shouldn't have been doing at work.
Yeah, they were drinking some Kool-Aid.
No, one factor that I always say is, if you're going to switch from regular oil to synthetic oil or synthetic to regular, just do it at an oil change so that you change all the oil at the same time, and don't mix weights of oil. But that being said, if your engine is low on oil and there's motor oil on the shelf, I don't care what brand, what weight, what type of oil, some oil is better than none in your engine. Get some oil, whatever it has to be. And as long as it is, if you look on the oil cap, there will be a number. On her car, it should say something like 5W30 or 10W30, and that's the weight of the oil. And as long as it's 10W30 oil, what's listed on that cap, any oil will do just fine, whether it's regular, synthetic. When you're in a situation that you got to get oil in that car, put oil in it, because it's better to have something in there than nothing.
That's what I thought. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
You're welcome, Bob.
Man, all I keep thinking about in 20 years, people listening to a recording of the show have no idea what the hell we're talking about.
Yeah.
True. Yeah.
WRW oil? What are you,
What
you
is
talking
that?
about? Yeah.
What have they been doing with that oil?
Yeah.
Okay, we are going to stay with the phones. Remember, 877-960-9960. And also, you can text us at 772-497-6530. And don't forget your anonymous feedback, youranonymousfeedback.com. And let me take a moment and let all of you know how important you are to the show. We certainly enjoy your company and how you inform us week in and week out. It's quite an exchange that we have here. We're going to stay on the phones, and we're going to talk to Lindsay, who's calling us from Fort Lauderdale, and she is a first-time female caller. Welcome, Lindsay.
Oh, hi.
Congratulations. You just won yourself $50. Please stay on the line after we're done and give Jeremy your contact information. In turn, he will give it to me, and I can send you a check.
Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome. What can we do for you today?
I have a 2020 Prius that I'm going to take to the dealership on Tuesday, so my dad said I needed to call you and ask before I go. I had new tires put on my car about 2 months ago because I guess I went over one too many potholes and I ate right through my tires. That one's on me. So I got 4 new tires and an alignment, and my 74 miles to the gallon has now gone down to 60 or 62 miles per gallon.
Hmm.
Do you think something is broken, like a sensor, or, when they change the tires?
No, the tires that you had on there previously were probably a little harder compound tires that will get a little more mileage because of what's called a lower rolling resistance. The easiest way to describe this, if you took 2 tires and sat them side by side on the ground and gave them the equal amount of force pushing them forwards, one is going to roll a little further than the other because it's got less resistance and it will roll smoother. And the smoothest tires are going to give you the best fuel economy. What happened is when they put the new tires on, they may not have put quite as much air in the tires, and dropping even 4 or 5 pounds of pressure can cause your fuel economy to drop a bit. You may ask them just to raise your fuel pressure or your tire pressures up a little bit, and that'll actually help improve your fuel economy.
Okay. As soon as they went on, I checked the numbers on the door and the numbers on the tires, and everything was exactly the same. But when I had my Mini Cooper, the guys at Mini always said in Florida, at BMW, they overinflate the tires down here in Florida because of the roads. That's what he said, and I used to get great mileage in my Mini, but I never had any problems, before. And I spoke to somebody about tires, and they said, harder and softer. They're like, one way you get a better ride, one way you get a better gas, fuel efficiency. And I'm like, well, I'm getting neither. The car drives like crap now, and the gas mileage has gone down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
a crappy tire, I guess.
Yeah, that tire pressure is so important, and it affects so many aspects of your vehicle. So you did the right thing, taking a look at the door jamb and all the other different places, and keeping an eye on the PSI.
Yeah, you think it's worth having somebody take another look at it, Rick? I mean, if it's not the tire.
It'll be the tires, but it could also be if they put a lower quality brand of tire on there. Right. A lot of places will sell you what's known almost as a store brand.
Does a low rolling resistance tire cost significantly more than a regular tire?
They can, yes.
So that's one thing you might think about, Lindsay, is if they did put one that wasn't the low rolling resistance, you would have had to pay more for the tire. So that's some consolation for your gas mileage dropping a little bit. I don't know what the difference would be. Do you, Rick, between a low rolling
It's
resistance?
the compound in the rubber.
Yeah, I mean the price difference.
It could be anywhere $20 to $40, even $50 a tire.
Yeah, well, that wouldn't save her. That wouldn't compensate for the lower gas mileage. So. Okay, Lindsay.
Okay, hey, Lindsay.
Thanks so much, guys.
Lindsay, I have a question for you. Do you have your own little gauge that you check your PSI with?
I do have that. I don't use that. I use I just plug in the tire pressure thing, and I call it Lady Proof because it's so super simple. You just plug it onto the tire. It tells you what it is, and then you type in, 32 or 34, whatever it says.
I
and it just
like
goes
that.
to that.
I like that.
So I call it Lady Proof.
Yeah, Lady Proof. That's easy. And you probably know that it's best for you to inflate your tires in the morning because of, the day's heat. So you sound like an educated consumer, Lindsay. I want to thank you for calling. And please spread the word to your lady friends. Tell them that we do have $50 here for the first 2 new lady callers.
Okay, thank you so much, guys.
You have a wonderful weekend. 877-960-9960, or you can text us at 772-497-6530. Hey, did anyone hear about the Camaro retiring, the muscle car? Mm-hmm. Jeez. Can you believe that?
End of an era.
I'm so cynical. I think they're going to end it, and then they're going to bring it back in 2 years as like something like they're going to reintroduce it and sell it for $1 billion.
Could be.
Well, I believe that you're absolutely right, and maybe you have some insight.
No insight.
Connections?
It's just I'm cynical and old and grumpy. They're doing this on purpose.
Oh, geez, then what am I?
Well, Chrysler
to
did
go
it with
home.
the Charger, the Challenger, the Dart.
Yeah.
What's that new one they just brought out?
I don't know. Hellcat? Is that something?
No, they
bring the Barracuda back?
Hear how he said that? I don't know.
Sorry.
It's like they've run out of names.
Yeah.
Well,
everything that goes around comes around. They
I
bring
got
it
something
back.
special in my bottle. Want a shirt?
Oh, sure. Sure.
At any rate, you're right. And by 2024, it's going to be over, for the Camaro. But here's the good news: it's coming back as an electric vehicle.
Oh.
And it'll be in I don't know where I'm going to be in 20 $35.
I should have
So
read
they're
it,
they're copying Ford
the
what they
Mustang.
did with the Mustang.
except for the Mustang came back in a strange transformation. The Mach-E doesn't look like a Mustang.
True,
Yeah.
not even close.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully the Chevrolet is going to do a whole lot better than Ford. I'll tell you what, I couldn't believe what I read that Ford had lost so much money on their electric vehicles. I mean, a whole lot. We're talking B as in billions.
Hang in there, Ford.
Yeah, exactly. And they're
We're rooting for you.
We're honestly, yeah, we want to root for everybody. Okay, I will share the rest of my information with you guys later on in the show, so you want to stay tuned for that. Ha, ha,
I
ha.
have a bulletin on low rolling resistance tires that from the previous caller. Apparently, they presume to cost about 15% more, which is more significant than we thought, but it has a reduced tread life of about 30%. So when you consider that, it might not be such a bad deal if you get a little bit less gas mileage. Because I think that's significant. I mean, tread life, 30%, that's a lot of money.
More expensive, doesn't last near as long, but it gets you a little better fuel economy.
Yeah, 15%. They cost more. So really, when you look at the increase in costs and the fact that they don't have the same life, that's 45% of the cost of the tire. That's a big number, and you have to drive a lot of miles to overcome that.
That's right.
But if you find a set of good Michelins that have a good high mileage warranty on them,
Yeah.
and get good life out of it, and keep the tire pressures up, your fuel economy won't drop that much, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
you'll actually make out in the long run.
Yeah, that's a win-win situation, keeping that pressure up.
Absolutely.
I mean, to have to check that all the time because it affects how your vehicle runs, how your fuel gets.
Well, the nice part is that the newer cars, 1 and 2 and 3 year old cars now, not only can they show you the tire pressure, it'll show you the pressure of where each tire is on the car, and those have become quite accurate. They are very accurate with their numbers, so you can pretty well trust that that's the right pressure.
Wasn't that great news in the Consumer Report that would be available to the consumer?
Yep.
Boy, easy. Which
future
tire
is
is
here.
it? There's no more guessing. So at any rate, let's go to Bob in Lake Park.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Bob.
Good morning. No one's talked about Teslas yet. I'm shocked.
I'm getting ready.
We've kind of danced around it. We were talking about the extinction of gas engines.
I get it, but I think the last caller though said she had a bad ride. The tires didn't ride comfortably, and I think everything's a trade-off. So even though it might cost her more money, you have to consider, how the car rides on the road. Also, I think consideration. But I did see something. Ford has filed for a patent. When you buy a car from them, if you don't make your car payment, they're going to be able to lock you out of your car. And then at 3 a.m, they're going to be able to open up your garage door and autonomously drive that car to the impound lot. And I was wondering what you thought about that.
Wow.
I doubt Ford's doing, or maybe they're just. I believe they made a patent. I mean, people patent all sorts of ideas that don't actually
They
make it
have
to
that
market.
technology available now, but
I think it's a great idea.
well, it depends on how you look at it. I mean, it's
That's
It's a little scary.
That's going a
Some
little-
banks, we know about banks that have trackers on cars and kill switches that disable cars if they don't make a payment. Those are kind of problematic because that can happen. If you don't turn your car off, you're fine. But if for some reason you turn your car off at the bridge or something like that,
I think the negative
done.
publicity would outweigh the financial benefit if word got out that Ford was really doing that, and some poor
your car
orphan
drives away from you.
or
your car repos itself.
some poor figure was, as you say, was disabled on the Golden Gate Bridge because they hadn't made their car payment. I think that would be pretty negative PR for Ford.
But it's crazy.
Okay. So I have a question for Stu. I found a couple of cars that I may be interested. I'm trying to find a replacement for my Mustang, and I found a couple, but they're not in state. One is in Virginia and one is in California. So I never bought a car. I bought a car in New York once, but then I got a temporary plate, drove it down, and registered it down here, and paid the sales tax down here, and so forth and so on. What is the process if I want to buy a car from one of these dealers, a Ford dealer in Virginia or California?
So out of state, and you want to drive it down here?
No, I'm not going to drive it. They'll have to.
No. I mean, you want to register it. You want to keep it down here?
Yeah. I take the plates off my other Mustang and sell the car myself.
Most states have a reciprocal arrangement with their DMVs that allow you to go ahead and they can handle the registration for you. Some are weird. I can't remember which ones those are, which required you to actually. I think you have to get it there with a temporary plate and then pay their whatever tax they have and register it. But I'm pretty sure Virginia
is. This wouldn't have a temporary plate.
Yeah.
I would just have.
You'd just be transferring or
I have a plate. I take the plate off my old car. But
the dealership should be able to handle the all the tag work for you.
What's the buying process, though? How would that work?
The buying process.
Right. I mean, I'm just gonna send them a check before I get delivery of the car.
You don't want to. Well, like right now, that's
why.
It's pretty widespread doing orders, so a lot of people are buying cars sight unseen right now. The one thing I would stress is, let's just cut through all this. So let's say you found the absolute lowest price car, and you're going to go with that one. Get something pretty strong in writing the terms that you want to see in this order and the delivery. That gives you an out in case you are not satisfied for damage or missing equipment or anything that changes.
Wouldn't it be, I already saw the window stick. I mean, I got the window stick.
The car is there. You've seen the car.
I've seen the car. I look at the window stickers. The car's on the lot.
Right.
The price is not a relevant issue. I just want to understand what is the process.
Well, transportation's pretty expensive, Bob. Have you got quotes on the transportation to Florida?
Not yet. No, I haven't gotten to that point. I
was surprised. I think prices have gone up.
They have.
I had a friend of mine just check with me about price to get a car in New Hampshire, and I told him I thought it would be $600 or $700. It's $1,000.
Yeah.
And I shopped around on the internet. And so you're looking at a pretty big slug. So if you're saving the money and it's the only car that you can get of that description, then it's worth the extra transportation. But that's pretty. You can almost fly up there and drive it back for $1,000.
If the dealership does a lot of that sort of business, like we at our dealership, we work with a lot of shippers, and so we have deals with them, so we get a better price.
It was our shipper that quoted $1,500, and Ted Caboose told me, so I got online and I found one for $1,000. So I think we need to research.
It changed. We have more than one shipper, we go with the lowest one. So that's if the dealership has does business like that, they're likely to have access to a decent price. But you do own shopping too.
Outside of the shipping issue, how would you actually do the sale? In other words, would I send them the money before?
You're talking to them, right? You're having a
not yet. No,
don't just send them money.
This is all preliminary.
You're dealing with a salesperson or a representative there, a sales manager who's handling the deal. As long as you can come to terms online, you can handle everything via email. They can send you documents or FedEx overnight. If they have a DocuSign sort of process, a lot of dealerships start having that. You might be able to sign remotely.
Bob, if you're concerned about it, you could use an escrow account, and anytime you buy something, typically you could go through your attorney or their attorney's escrow account. And that way you're not going to get taken. I mean, if there's a trust issue with the dealer, then the escrow.
Well, I don't know. I don't know the dealers. I mean, these are out-of-state dealers. I mean, they're Ford dealers, but that doesn't mean, as you know, that doesn't mean.
Yeah.
Anything.
So it depends on how safe you want to be. If you want to be totally safe, if they deliver the car to you, you checked it out, it wasn't exactly what you want, you would just say, no, I'm not going to pay you, and the money would be in escrow, and they couldn't give you a hard time. So it's a judgment call, and then you'd have to pay an attorney, probably a couple $100 or maybe more to do that.
Is that how you do it at your dealership? If you have somebody from out of state that wants say they want a Supra, and they call you up, they want to buy the Supra, and they want you to ship it to them, how would you how would you work that?
We
deal?
would order the vehicle because everything's going to be in order with it. Just the deposit that's refundable. When the vehicle comes in, the final.
Let's say it's sitting on your lot, and somebody calls you up. They researched it. They went all over the country, and you're the only one that has the color they want and the packages that they want.
Okay, we're talking about a
And they call you
hypothetical
up.
because we don't have
Yeah.
any on the lot. So there's a car on the
Yeah,
lot, and
somebody
then we
calls
come
you
to
up,
terms
no
on.
matter.
Hang on a second, Bob.
Yeah, go ahead.
We come to terms on the price.
Right.
We don't ship. We don't. The car does not leave the lot until we are paid in full or have a cashable contract if we're financing. Or
Okay, so
leasing.
how does that work? They wire you the money?
We can they can send us a check in the mail. They can wire the money directly into our account, or they could drive over with a suitcase full of cash.
Exactly.
Yeah, Bob,
Hey,
it's not a big
Bob,
deal, Pat. This is done all the time, and I think it's if you're dealing with a franchise new car dealer, chances are you're not going to have a problem. If they try to screw you, you go to the manufacturer, they'd be in serious trouble. So I wouldn't worry about it. I think you're maybe overthinking this in terms of someone trying to steal the money.
Yeah, but Bob,
Let's just
Bob, whatever you decide, please give us a call and let us know what your decision was, because there's a lot of options here,
Yeah.
and it sounds
I-
like you've
I just-
explored all of them.
Well, the thing is, if I have to send somebody $50,000 over a check for $50,000, I want to
It can
get
sting.
my car.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. All right. Well,
That's
you guys
definitely-
have a
thank
great
you.
day, and thank
Thanks,
you for
Bob.
taking my call.
Oh,
All
you're
right,
welcome,
bye-bye.
Bob.
Thanks.
Have a great weekend. 877-960-9960. Or you can text us at 772-497-6530. YourAnonymousFeedback.com. You know, we went out to Chattanooga, Tennessee. Well, we didn't. The Agent Lightning went out there, and she did a great mystery shop.
We were there in
on,
spirit.
Kia.
We were there in spirit.
Exactly.
We're always there.
We're all over the place. So you want to stay tuned for that. We're going to go to the recovering car dealer.
We'll see if we have any texts or
Yeah.
YouTubes.
We got Anne Marie sitting here. We
Okay.
have to kick it off with Anne Marie.
Good morning, Anne Marie.
Anne Marie says, "Good morning. Insurance ads on TV do their best to convince us that we're in good hands, or they'll be there like a good neighbor, or that their staff will protect our homes and vehicles 24/7. Your dealership has a body shop that fixes vehicles that have been in accidents. That is true. One, in your experience, and I understand that other body shops, collision centers may have different experiences, which insurance companies are the easiest to work with to get customer vehicles fixed properly? Two, are there any insurance companies in your experience that are extremely difficult to work with? Or three, are all insurance companies pretty much the same to work with? And four, what should drivers look for in an insurance company when they consider picking a company other than price? And before anybody jumps into it, I just want to say that I didn't know this until today, that Consumer Reports actually ranks the insurance company. You knew that.
Absolutely.
You
Yeah,
knew
thanks
that.
to. They absolutely do.
Number
And-
one is...
And I've got to say, where is Alan when we need
I
him?
know. Well, I was going to say all the
champion.
insurance, from our point of view, all the insurance companies are lovely, wonderful, professional people to work with, and we appreciate their business. But consumers have their own opinions, and we know that USAA is the number one by Consumer Reports.
Well,
Yeah.
first of all, I would disagree with that statement.
kidding. That was tongue-in-cheek.
What I was going to say is that insurance companies are like car dealerships. You got Ford dealers, you got Toyota dealers, you got Honda dealers, you got Allstate, but you also have the local adjusters, the local managers, and the people you deal with. And they're only as good as the weakest link in the chain. And you can go with Allstate, which is a very reputable, well-known company, and you get a jerk who's an adjuster. You got a problem, and you're dealing with human beings. Same thing with car dealerships. You know, we're a car dealership. We pride ourselves on our integrity and the way we treat our customers. But people come into our dealership and they get screwed around because we have somebody that's not doing their job. So it's really hard. I don't think any of the insurance companies we deal with are chronically bad. One good thing about insurance companies in each state, they're regulated by the state insurance commissioner's office, and I say to people that are having problems buying a car, go to the Department of Motor Vehicles. It really gets that dealer's attention. I say if you have a problem with your insurance company, go to the state insurance commissioner, write them a letter, copy the insurance company, and that gets their attention too. Because the insurance commission can put an insurance company right out of business, and that gets their attention.
All right, Anne Marie, and let's go ahead.
Excuse me, Stu. We're going to go to Linda in Plantation.
All right.
Good morning, Linda.
Good morning. Love your show. It's very informative.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for waiting.
No problem. I have a question regarding checking the transmission fluid. I have a 2014 Dodge Grand Caravan, and I do little things myself, like check the oil, and I wanted to check the transmission fluid. So I opened up the hood. I looked for the dipstick. I could not find it. I then called over my neighbor, an older gentleman who I thought, would be able to help me, and he started looking in the engine, and he also couldn't find it. So we pulled out the owner's manual where it has the picture of the inside of the engine, and I looked up transmission fluid, and there was nothing at all on how to check the transmission fluid. So I went to the internet, and it said for this particular car, there is no dipstick on the 2014 Dodge Grand Caravan, that if I want to get it checked, I got to bring it to a dealer, and they will insert their own dipstick, and they will check it for me. I can't believe that something like this exists.
That's not right.
I'm surprised. That's really amazing.
That's not right.
Have you heard about that, Rick?
Oh, yeah.
Have you?
As a matter of fact,
Did Toyota do it?
oh, yes. As a matter of fact, Toyota transmissions, it says right in the repair manual,
Yeah.
inspect for external leaks. If no external leaks are found, it can be assumed that the transmission fluid level is correct.
Wow. I just learned something
It's-
new.
Sealed.
Most transmissions are now using basically a lifetime fluid. The fluid that Toyota uses is designated WS, and these fluids are never meant to be changed, even if you're towing or anything like that, as long as it's within the reasonable use of that vehicle, then you don't need to change the fluid. It's good for the lifetime of the vehicle. And the fluid level, where it used to be on a dipstick, you had a range that was almost a quart of change that you could have on that fluid level. It's so temperature responsive now, it expands and contracts by temperature, that you have to set the fluid level when it's at a very specific temperature range, and you have to have it almost perfect, within like a quarter of a quart to a half a quart perfect level.
But you say the dealers are furnished with the ability to check the
Yes,
the
we do
level.
have the special equipment to change, to
How
set the fluid level
how sp-
properly.
How special is the equipment? I mean, a dipstick is a dipstick, isn't it?
Right, but now you actually have to put the transmission into a special mode. You tell it, go into this mode where it can sense the temperature properly. And when the temperature is in a very specific range, that's only about 20 degrees of temperature, that is where you have to have the fluid set at a perfect level. And if you get too much or too little, it can cause damage to the transmission. It's got to have a very specific amount of fluid in it. So obviously, if a customer were to do this and they didn't get the fluid level exactly right, it could damage the transmission.
And they're saving a ton of money on dipsticks. too.
Yeah, guys, I
True.
think that term is considered offensive now. It's an oil checker stick, I think.
Okay.
Oil checkers?
Ah.
Yeah, dipsticks is an offensive term.
Brenda, I tell you, what a great question. I learned something, and you did too, and I'm very impressed that you're a female do-it-yourselfer.
Boy, I'll
Nancy
tell you,
prides
Linda.
herself on that.
I mean,
so,
Linda, I have
congratulations.
I got to stop and say for a moment here, boy, you blew me away with your conversation. My goodness gracious, there isn't anything that you couldn't do. And hey,
Oh,
what's up with the you told me not to say that anymore?
Dipstick,
No, the other you said not to call it that. You said to call it a what?
an oil checking probe.
Fluid level indication device.
I don't like any of it. I want my dipstick back. I'm an old-fashioned girl.
Well, I did call you a few weeks ago. I was a first-time caller, and I really enjoy listening to your show, but I just try to keep my car well maintained. I try to do the basic things myself, and here I can't even check the transmission fluid.
Yeah. What's up with that?
Go figure.
Yeah.
Well, but it used to be transmission fluid was recommended to be changed about every 30,000 miles. Now, you never have to change it for the life of the vehicle. 400,000 miles. It's good.
Really? I mean,
You know, the problem is about 5 years ago, I did have some type of a problem with this car. I brought it in to the dealership, and there was something, they changed the seal, and they drained the transmission fluid, and they replaced it. So I wanted to check it because I hear a little bit of a click when I put my foot on the gas pedal and when I release it. And it comes and it goes. It's just a light clicking sound. So I'm trying to be my own diagnostician of trying to check things on the car to see what the problem is.
I would try this. Go on YouTube and look for a video that tells you how to clean the throttle body. And it's a very gentle procedure. You know the Scotch-Brite pads that you use for scrubbing dishes?
Yes.
Basically, you're just going to use a piece of that. Be very careful you don't drop it down in through the throttle body, but you're going to use just a piece of that and just basically scrub the throttle body opening where the big butterfly plate is. YouTube, you'll be able to find videos that'll show you how to do that. What we find most often is carbon buildup will actually start to collect on that plate and on that throttle body housing, and it gets a little sticky. And when you're stepping on the throttle, on the pedal, the plate will stick for a second, then it will pop loose, and that'll make that little tick sound you're hearing. And then when you let off, it'll make a little tick sound as it's going back. But if you're the do-it-yourselfer that I think you are, I bet you can find a YouTube video that show you exactly how to go in, give that a quick clean out, and that'll probably take care of your noise.
Wow, you guys are fantastic.
oh, you're
And
fantastic, Linda. Linda, doesn't it make you? Isn't it therapeutic? I mean, you're going out to the garage or the driveway and you're taking care of your car. For me, it creates a diversion for me to the fast-paced, stressed-out life that goes on because we've gone sideways in the world. But it definitely is therapeutic. And now what I'm doing is not only do I do things on my Avalon, but I'm doing things on our Tesla, which is a whole lot different. And Earl just always warns me, don't touch that button, because we don't know what that button does. But I'm a curious person, and I like pressing buttons. But back to you. Boy, oh boy, you are a doer-yourselfer.
Thank you for your fantastic help. I appreciate it very much. Great show. Keep up the great work, guys.
Oh, keep on
Thanks,
calling,
Ron.
Linda. We love hearing from you. Okay, 877-960-9960. And you can text us at 772-497-6530. YourAnonymousFeedback.com. We're going to get back to Stu, as I know he has a lot of texts.
Well, I just have a perfectly timed anonymous feedback. You're saying that we hope car dealers are listening. Well, here's something. I'm not sure. I disagree with Earl's assessment that manufacturers will be going direct to the public in the future. While many of today's car dealerships may close down and their sales procedures may change, the service side will always be needed as long as cars are running. Many people like the convenience of dealerships and don't mind paying for their services, especially the high-end luxury dealerships that owners of those vehicles prefer.
Well, the way cars are today, yes, you're right. There will always be requirements for service department. But remember, cars are changing, and once we get to 100 EV, the maintenance and repair an electric vehicle is a quantum drop from a combustion engine car. So, yes, you'll always have to have some sort of a service area for even electric vehicles, but they'll be much smaller. I mean, when you look at the size of the average car dealership and the average service department, in our dealership, Sue probably knows the square footage. I don't know, but is huge, and we've got
Many thousands.
30 technicians. How many stalls do we have?
40 something.
I mean, a huge millions and millions of dollars invested, in these service facilities. And this service is going to be dropping. Fast forward 20 years, all the cars are electric. You'll have 1/10, and I'm guessing, but about 1/10 of the service required on a car that you have today. So, yes, dealers in that sense. But see, Tesla has service centers, but they're owned by Tesla. I think you're going to see Honda, General Motors, Ford. They'll all have service centers, regional. They won't be on every street corner because you don't have any very, very many problems with electric vehicles. And you'll swing in and have your electric vehicle checked and swing out again.
Maybe.
Rick?
As a technician, I've already seen a huge change in the amount of maintenance that's being done on vehicles just from when I started back in the 90s to now, and it's accelerating. I see young guys coming into the field now, and I wonder what their career is going to be in 10 years, 15 years. What are they going to be experiencing? I don't know where I'm going to be because I don't know. It just things are changing so fast. It's it's amazing.
You're right. This is a watershed moment in automobiles and worldwide. And people, our great grandchildren will look back on this time and say, "Wow, what a primitive thing combustion engine cars were." Can't believe it. Not only do they cost a lot to buy, they cost a lot to maintain, and they pollute the planet and blah. I mean, they're going to be looking at us like cavemen in 20 years based on our transportation needs.
They'll be looking at us like we would look on a blacksmith.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, there are still blacksmiths, but not near as many as there were 200 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Stu, do the kids say to you, "Hey, Dad, what did you use that for?" Or was that were you using that telephone back then? And your cell phone, it was the size of a bread box. Do they?
It's always
question.
It's always a fun conversation when I talk about like the old technologies, but it's all over TikTok and social media. That's got a thing. They have kids who are presented with like an old computer, and they say, "All right, turn it on," and it's you watch them start to explore it. It kind of looks like chimpanzees that found something that you threw into the enclosure, and they're kind of scratching their head, and they can't figure it out. And they love the idea of that there was one phone in the house that everybody shared. And then,
what about the extension? Did you live through that? I mean,
it was very, very different back then. So it's kind of crazy. You don't realize how much things has changed until suddenly you're older and you go, "Wow, things sure have changed."
Yeah,
it's kind of crept up on us.
I can say that about TikTok because many, many years ago, someone told me, "You're missing something. You should go to TikTok," and I didn't think TikTok was for me, but I went anyway, and I checked it out, and guess what? It's not for me. And what I worry about is, the generation that is really, I don't know, what is it, 50% of your teenage family and so many others that go right to TikTok. And there's some, not so pleasant stuff on TikTok, and it's a little dangerous, but it's a great way to, advertise.
Okay, listen to this. This is really neat. Rick, I have a question for you. My 2019 Honda Accord is hesitating when I push the gas, and when it goes, it shudders as it accelerates. What could be the problem?
And what was the year?
2019 Honda Accord.
Hesitates and a shudder. I would be looking at transmission issues there.
Okay, I asked ChatGPT, and it says, "I'm not a mechanic, but there are several potential reasons why." I'm wondering if AI can help do with the diagnosis.
Sure.
Some possible causes could be dirty or clogged fuel injectors. Over time, fuel injectors can become dirty or clogged, which leads to poor fuel delivery and performance issues. A malfunctioning mass flow MAF sensor. It has 7 possible suggestions. It's kind of neat. Even if you don't use it to diagnose your car, you could definitely use it to educate yourself before you went to the service department and sound like a genius.
Yeah, there you go.
I think we might be overemphasizing AI now. I mean, the potential to AI is just gigantic, but it's not there yet. And I've seen. I'm playing with it all the time. Now the other day I did.
This one's GPD4. This is the newest one.
The other day I did my walk, and I always try to do my power walk, my 2-mile power walk, and try to better my record. And I'm always trying to get a record. In order to calculate my fastest mile, I have to use some basic algebra to do that. So the other day I said, instead of me, writing on a pad, I'll just ask AI. And they came back with this answer that was so authoritative and grammatically correct, and it was just very
real.
sophisticated. I said, "Wow!" I said,
But it was wrong.
"Yeah." I said, "I thought I walked faster than that," and I even told Nancy. I said, "Look, I got an answer from AI." I went back and checked AI, and they were wrong.
But the neat thing is you could tell it was wrong. It would apologize and probably do it right.
Probably, yeah. But 10 years from now, it's going to be a whole different story. It's not going to be wrong, and it'll be fun to watch the progress.
Yeah, we went round and round over that. Hey, listen, guys, we thank you for tuning in to Earl Stewart on Cars. Just in case you just tuned in, yes, you're listening to Earl Stewart on Cars. And give us a call at 877-960-9960, or you can text us at 772-497-6530. We got a couple of calls holding, and we're going to get to Howard in Jupiter. Good morning, Howard.
Good morning. I hope you're all well. Beautiful day today, as usual.
Yes,
I have a couple. I have a couple of questions. What's happening with the Mirai now? I know they're only driven in California. Did they stop that?
No, they still.
experiment?
I think that they still are manufacturing it, but like you said, it's only in California, or I don't know if they have it in Japan, but it's not a. It's like you said, it's more of an experiment. It's a good way to describe it.
Yeah, but it seems to me. I mean, the thinking behind it is that it uses water, for fuel.
It's ingenious. It uses a fuel cell like they use to power things up in space, and it just takes air and it splits it into water and
I think it
oxygen.
goes under the heading of one of the few major mistakes Toyota made. And hydrogen fuel cell, Akio Toyota is no longer, running the show.
Didn't have a job.
That was his baby. See, he got on the fuel cell hydrogen bandwagon, wouldn't get off until it was too late. Now Toyota's playing catch up to get back in the EV business.
Yeah, that's interesting. One other question about the throttle body cleaner. When I was younger, I used to do it myself, and you had the carburetor cleaner spray, and I would spray on it, and it would be perfect. However, I can't do that anymore. I'm 87, so if I bring it into Earl, your place, and I say, let me have a service on the throttle body, that's usually not a service that you do. You have to request it. You don't offer that, correct?
We will offer it if you come in and say, I've got a problem, and that may be one of the solutions we'll offer. If you ask for it as a service, we will do that for you. The only caveat that I will say for any do-it-yourselfers out there, if you use a spray like that, do not spray it directly into the throttle body. Spray it onto a rag or a piece of that Scotch-Brite cleaner and shake off the excess, because you only want just a little dab. Just a little dab will do you. You don't want too much of that in there, because it can actually gum up the electric motor that operates that throttle body and can cost you a lot of money for damaging it. So just a very little bit on a cloth, wipe it out real well, and be done with it.
Okay, that's a good point. I never thought of that. I always sprayed it on. I never had a problem, but
well, on the old carbureted cars, you were fine with that. But with throttle body, the new throttle bodies on fuel injected cars, you don't want to just spray it in there heavy handed.
Yeah. And that's true, Howard. Everybody, like you just said, they spray directly on whatever they're working on. But I find now that if I'm working on something, definitely I spray it on a cloth first before I apply it as to where I'm working on, because I don't want to, make the problem worse by gumming it up as Rick said.
Well, I suggest if you don't know what you're doing, go on YouTube, and then if YouTube doesn't help you, go to the dealer. But don't take any chances. I took chances by spraying. I never had a problem, but then again, I was lucky. According to Rick, I beat the odds because I.
Yeah, don't inhale.
Howard, it's always great hearing from you. And
it's always great talking to you, and have a good day. And you guys are great and wonderful, and you help people. I've been talking to several people about you.
Aww.
They had no idea that you don't charge dealer fees. They had no idea that if you have a problem, bring it into Earl, and they'll discuss it and take care of it. And another thing that I told them, I said, if you go to an outside mechanic and ask him to fix something, he gives you a price, and then he calls you up and says, there's another part we have to install. It'll be extra. Earl Stewart doesn't do that. He gives you a price, and he sticks to it, which is great.
Thanks,
a lot of people don't know that, by the way.
Josh says hi, by the way.
People know it.
Josh says hi.
Oh, Josh?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, Josh. Okay.
Howard, thanks so much.
Thanks
for
Uncle
being
Howard.
a follower.
Uncle Howard, that's good.
Have a great weekend. We're going to go to John in West Palm Beach. Good morning, John.
Hey, good morning. Let me put the windows up so you can hear me.
Okay. Thanks for hanging on.
Oh, you're welcome. As far as the future and it happening about, as far as the technicians, they're all going to adjust and adapt, I believe, and they're all going to have to adjust and adapt into electronics and electronic performance. As more and more EVs. When I was at your dealership a couple weeks ago, you guys represented like 4 or 5 different EVs that were on your lot, starting with the Rivian to the Kia and that. So you have service, and if they're servicing them, they come in, they're going to have to know how to service those. But as far as dealerships closing up, if they do, I see a lot of potential for a lot of these mechanics that can still work on old cars.
Good point. Good
They're
point.
gonna have because how many people right now can go out and buy a 1970 whatever and then be able to advance the timing on it by turning the distributor if it doesn't have EFI or an electronic ignition?
I've still got a dwell meter.
I don't even know if Stu, you said you started in the 90s or whatever, but, did you've got spark plugs, but how about the rotors?
Well, John, I'll give you, here's a good example. I've got a 1937 Pontiac on the showroom floor of my Toyota dealership.
Yes, I saw it.
And I don't think there's any mechanic we got in the dealership that knows how to work on it. I mean, I don't mean literally because it's pretty basic, but it is really amazing how to stay on top of technology. I guess you can't possibly train a mechanic how to fix a 1937 vehicle in a 2023 vehicle. I mean, they're 2 entirely different animals, and it is interesting.
They would have to unlearn things.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Very much so.
Forget what you know and go. You got to go all the way back to the basics.
Yeah, exactly.
Points and condenser.
Here, rebuild the carburetor. What? You rebuild these? Don't we just toss them out and put a new one on and rebuild? No, this one's going to have to be rebuilt.
Memories.
Make sure the float isn't. Make sure the float's still working.
Oh yeah, don't forget the float.
But like I said, but there's still going to be need for mechanics who can work on the older, especially since classic cars from the 50s and 60s. We need people, and if how many are posting those on YouTube? YouTube's not going to be able to answer everything. They can answer the general, but when it comes to specifics.
Like Rick said last week, I remember said we still have blacksmiths, so we'll always have car mechanics. It just won't be as many, but we don't have as many horses, so that's the reason we don't have that many blacksmiths.
Yeah, we got to get some horses. John, it was a pleasure talking to you.
Oh,
we got some calls backed up, so give us a call again. You're quite entertaining. Thank you. We're going to go to Bill, who is holding, and he's calling us from New York. Gee, I hope it warmed up a bit. How you doing, Bill?
I'm doing good. I have a question for the mechanic.
Okay, Rick is ready.
Okay, Rick, when I watch vehicles being pulled out from a ditch by the tow truck.
Okay.
You still there, Bill?
Yes, I'm still there. I was wondering, when they pull it by the wheels, can that damage the wheel bearings?
Not likely. Usually when they're pulling them out of a ditch or something, they're going to hook a chain up to the frame or the unibody structure of the car to try to get a safer pull on it. When they do have to try to hook up to the wheels, it's not really going to hurt the wheel bearings very much because they're going very slow at it, and it's not anything in a jerking motion. But once a car's gotten damaged in a ditch, there might be damage to it anyways, so it's going to wind up at a body shop for repairs anyways.
Okay. Now, the other thing I wanted to say was that I find that with the transmission fluid on these vehicles, that I think you're better off changing the transmission fluid at maybe 60,000 miles, because I don't believe in lifetime transmission fluid.
And most transmission shops and pretty much all dealerships are going to have what's known as a fluid exchanger machine that it connects in on the cooler lines for the transmission, and it will basically, when we used to do a transmission service back in the day, we would drain and fill the pan, and we would change about 4 quarts of fluid. Transmissions back then usually held 12 to 15 quarts of fluid. They still hold that same 12 to 15 quarts, but now you fill that machine up entirely with 12 to 15, whatever it's rated to be for that transmission, and it pumps all the old fluid out and all fresh new fluid in. They're designed to do that specifically.
Yeah, Bill, let me just say one thing. I know how you feel, and we have a lot of people that listen to the show. They say the same thing about oil changes. I don't care. I'm not going to change my oil only once a year. I'm going to change. Yeah, we got people that change their oil every 3 months just because they believe strongly in it. But the fact of the matter is, with today's technology, you don't need to. And the reason I jump in, I mean, if it makes you feel better to change your transmission fluid, then by all means do it. But there are too many car dealers out there and other service departments that they try to sell you this transmission flush and change the transmission fluid when the manufacturer says clearly you don't need to do it. I mean, I put my faith in the manufacturer, their engineers, their scientists. I mean, these guys are pretty good. I mean, they're on top of technology, and manufacturers aren't going to tell you not to repair something or maintain something if it needs to be maintained. So I know it's hard to get used to these things, but don't be taken advantage of.
I want to thank you all, and I watch you on YouTube on every Saturday. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill.
You're welcome, Bill. Okay, I think Stu, Rick's got some YouTubes.
I've actually got a couple of interesting ones here. Like from Donovan, where he mentions that, let's see, try to pull this where he was. There we go. He says, to what Stu was saying, service will still be needed even when all vehicles go to electric vehicles, but they'll require a lot less service. Car dealers will be smaller delivery centers with a small service station attached. He says, there'll be lots of tire shops when we're all EV. And he says, I'm with Rick on it. Guys coming into service industry today better get a very good understanding of electronics or they'll have a very short career.
Very true. Yeah.
And myself on the tire mention, I think tires, one of the things that they're working on now are 3D printed tires that you would simply drive in and they would simply exchange your wheel and tire assembly with a brand new one that's got the tread printed right back onto it. And instead of using a pneumatic-filled tire, it'll have like a honeycomb format inside of a form to absorb all the bumps and bangs as you're driving down the road. And you're not going to have pneumatic tires anymore. So you have no more flats, no more worry about checking tire pressures. And when the tread wears out, they just put a new belt assembly on there.
May
It
still
has the
need
honeycomb
you,
and
you
has
might
new
need
tread cut in it.
You might need an alignment.
Maybe an alignment.
Yeah.
But even then,
Amazing.
we've seen everything else turn to computers and electronic
servos,
adjusters.
yeah.
Why not a little servo motor that can simply make minor adjustments and adjust your alignment as you're driving down the road?
Yeah. I think if that's the last thing that remains, that's how it's going to go. It's going to disappear.
And what a great place to do it.
Yeah.
I have some anonymous feedback from something we talked about last week, unless we have a phone call, which I'd rather get to.
Okay, Frank. Thank you for holding. Frank's calling us from Jupiter Farms.
Well, good morning. It's always my pleasure to hold. That way, when I'm holding, it's not just listening to a dial tone. I actually hear the radio station in the background. Because I'm courteous enough to turn my radio off, there's no background feedback. So I've learned over the years, you guys, I'm teachable. So anyway, with that, while we're talking about tires, it's just the other day, like 2 days ago, I was over on PGA and up at a medical building, and with a lot of turns and this and that, and these cement curbs, and I'm sitting there looking at these curbs with all the black tire marks. These people run into these curbs, on a daily basis probably because of our age group nowadays, or just it's unique. It's an interesting maze of and I can see how many tires are being knocked out of alignment or scuffed up. But anyway, that's not why I'm calling. Last week I meant to tell you, and I forgot. I get sidetracked. But on Thursday morning, I was at Costco, a little after 9 something, pumping gas. Great time to go there. There's very few cars. And the lady next to me was ranting and raving and all upset. And I said, "Hi, what's going on?" And she said, "I just came from Napleton." And she used words I don't want to use on the air because I'll get bleeped out or I get fined by the FEC. But she was very upset with Napleton. And I said, "Well, you need to call 877-960-9960 on Saturday morning to tell Earl and Nancy Stewart about your..." And I said, "And you might even make $50. And she goes, "What, phone sex?" I said, no, just make the call. So, anyway,
Frank,
I
I got some good news for you. You couldn't have brought up a better subject because I've been wanting to talk about.
Wait till you hear this.
You're not streaming. I know you're in the car, but for those that are streaming, I'm going to hold up this week's automotive news, and Napleton has been terminated by Hyundai. Napleton has 2 Hyundai dealerships in Palm Beach County. West Palm Beach Hyundai and North Lake Hyundai, I think. And finally, Nissan's been after Napleton for a long time. So they basically gave them
he committed
termination letter.
He committed murder. You said the only way a car dealership gets terminated in Florida if he commits murder.
Well, it was actually sexual abuse.
Metaphorically speaking.
Ed Napleton Jr. Was tried several years ago for sexual abuse of actually I think it was a Hyundai employee, a trainer, and within the course. Anyway, the reason I think it's interesting is that you didn't know about it and nobody locally knows about it. The local press didn't pick it up. And then and to even add insult to injury, even though Nissan has terminated Napleton Hyundai in Palm Beach County, both of them, they will continue to do business because they can appeal it.
There'll be so many appeals.
The appeals could last 2 years or longer. So meanwhile, all the people in Palm Beach County that want to buy a Hyundai, you got to go to Napleton, and Napleton is going to be the dealer for Hyundai, in spite of the fact that Nissan, the Hyundai, the manufacturer, doesn't want to have him there as a dealer, but he's there. And this all goes back to the strength of the dealer lobby in Florida, the fact that they have the Attorney General in their pocket. Attorney General has never done anything. here's a dealer that has been taking advantage of customers for years and years and years. They become a joke, actually. You know, if you want to say crooked dealer, you don't say that. You say Napleton.
Yeah.
And here they are still in business. The only way Hyundai was able to get rid of them was because of they were accused of rape, and they got the charge reduced to sexual battery or something like that.
When you just
And,
said
and
all
he
that.
got 5 years probation.
Right.
5 years probation. I mean, if you would have seen this video that everybody had access and viewed, I mean, it makes your skin crawl. It's just, this is just an amazing story. And just like Earl said, appeal after appeal after appeal, and they still do business. And what Stu said, you got to commit murder to lose your franchise.
It's insane that right here on North Lake Boulevard, we have a dealership that was investigated, fined by the federal government and that FCC, millions of dollars. That was part of the group. And then the own manufacturer comes and shuts them down. And then this is all happening within the jurisdiction of the Attorney General of the state of Florida and the local prosecutors and investigators. It's been happening here. So the big higher ups are looking at it. It's right under the nose.
Well, the manufacturer tried to terminate Hyundai for warranty fraud. There was a transmission issue, and Hyundai had, and so they extended the warranty on the transmission. So Napleton went out to the auction and was buying Hyundais of that vintage and bringing them in to repair them
under warranty, and
they got off scot-free on that one. So it's unbelievable what a dealer, as Stu said earlier, you got to commit murder and be caught red-handed before you can terminate a dealer in Florida.
And you know, Frank, all of this ranting and raving here in the studio. Let's talk about the consumer. My goodness, let's talk about the consumer. Do these people need this much money that they have to violate everyone who walks through that dealership? I mean, it's disgusting. I don't know anyone who's gone to the dealership and left who didn't take a shower. I mean, it just turns your stomach.
Yeah, no, very, very true. I mean, you would think sooner or later the people will learn, like you guys told us, and I did myself, and other of your callers, just walk away. Don't buy it. Okay, let that next dummy come and buy it if there is. But sooner or later there won't be any dummies left to buy the cars, and people will be educated thanks to your show and others like us going out there and talking about how unscrupulous they are.
Yeah, well, we talk about, reaching every consumer, and we talk about, people talking to us, but there is so much more work to do by us. There's so many more consumers to reach because they're still being taken advantage of, and it just it breaks your heart. It just really does, and we want to spread the word, and we hope that you do. We hope that you spread the word about the radio show on Saturday mornings, and everything is free. All of the information, everything that Rick shares with everyone, Stu, all of us. So, Frank, thank you so much for calling.
All right, you all have a very nice day, and I appreciate you being on the air. Bye.
Thank you. We're going to go to Marty in West Palm Beach. Good morning, Marty.
Good morning. How are you?
Welcome.
Nice. I have a question for Stu.
Okay.
I'm right here.
Okay. My 23 Camry XLE, I was told that it's coming in May, so it'll be 14 months since I ordered it, but it's finally going to show up. So that part is good. My question for Stu is, in 24, for a 24 Camry, they're supposed to be making some changes. Other than cosmetic, are they doing anything different?
Just cosmetic as far as I'm aware of. Usually it's a pretty big deal when they do a total, a major refresh or a remodel.
Okay, but it's not, let me just ask you this. I probably should ask you this personally. Is it worth waiting for a 24 versus a 23? But I've waited 14 months for this car.
Marty, how old are you?
Only 78.
I'm only kidding. I'm just saying that, if you, at some point you need to buy it because the technology is moving so fast now that you're going to see a huge number of improvements and changes. But if you want a nice car, I say treat yourself and don't worry about moving.
Yeah, just do whatever. Yeah, because this one's going to be just marginally different from the next one. But I feel I totally get where you're coming from. It feels like they're like cell phones now, and I feel a compulsion, and I have to restrain myself to not get it every year. I'm so proud of Earl and Nancy. How long did you guys go before you upgraded to your current iPhones? You went years. You didn't do it.
4 years.
4 years, yeah. Some people can't do that with cars. We have customers that come in and they're buying a car every other year because they want to keep up with it. It's nuts. But I'd say, Marty, just go ahead and get to 23, and then
Yeah, well, this
you're
car
young.
also I ordered as a hybrid, so this will be my first hybrid.
And Marty, so good news for you. You were worried about your trade-in. You're going to see retail prices going up for used cars this month.
Yeah.
Wholesale prices have already gone up, and right about now you're going to see used car prices rising. So,
Better on your trade.
in May, when your new car comes in, your trade-in is going to be worth more than it would be today.
Unless it
Well,
goes
I'm
back down.
hoping, Earl, that you're correct.
I'm glad you
'Cause
said
I
that.
want to
go
pay
back
as
down.
little. I want to pay as little as possible.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Yeah, we want you to pay as little as possible. too.
Absolutely, Marty.
All right. Well, okay. Have a good weekend, everybody.
Thank you.
Marty.
You do the same. Thanks for giving us a call. Okay, Rick?
I got one quick one here. This is from Negan1. He says, "Hey, Rick, let Earl know he no longer has the fastest production car.
What?
The 2023 Dodge Challenger Demon 170
Demon, I don't like that.
just recorded
Scary.
an 8.91 second quarter mile at 1,025 horsepower straight from the factory. This is a
And then it
factory-
exploded.
Oh no!
But what's the 0 to 60 on that, guys? Isn't that the benchmark?
I'd have to look that up on this one, but this is where Dodge is just basically they're going insane with the Challenger. They're building these like certain ones, like it's like the Hellcat, but they're only building a very limited number of these. Obviously, there is a factory option for a parachute in this car.
No.
No.
Really?
Yes,
That would be illegal. You can't have a parachute popping out of a car on the highway.
On the
You
roads.
can't have it
on the
popping out,
roadways of
but
Florida.
it is an option that you can actually have this option on this car.
I mean, you'd have crooks getting that so they could make their getaway. The cops would come up, they
Exactly.
pop their parachute out.
But you'd have to rob a lot of banks to pay for that car, I'll bet. But Dodge did this with the Hellcat when they came out with the Hellcat Challenger, and then they came out with this Demon that is like a ridiculous amount of horsepower. It's literally a drag strip car that has been built to legal road standards, just barely.
Well, there's a new Super Plaid coming out, Tesla Super Plaid, which my guess will be even faster than the Plaid. So maybe that's what I got to do is trade my old Plaid in on the Super Plaid.
Why don't you just get
my
you should get a
goodness.
Demon. It goes 0 to 60 1.66 seconds, and yours is 1.8 something, isn't it? 1.9.
Well, from 0 to 60?
Yours is 0 to
Yeah,
60.
it's under
Under 2. It's
Under 2,
1.88.
yeah.
I think
Yeah,
is
yeah,
yours,
yeah.
and this got you by fractionally.
Yeah.
Got you.
But to me, I'm looking at it like, wow, you guys are just oh my goodness. But
How loud is it to go that fast?
I couldn't even imagine. It's probably got some. There's probably some special button that you push
To make
that
it louder.
Totally bypasses the mufflers right into a straight tailpipe.
And just
we're talking ridiculous things here, but it's Negan one he just came in 0 to 60 in 1.66 seconds.
crazy.
Just over 1.5 seconds.
Wow.
That's
Most everybody out there hasn't experienced that, and of course I did 1.6, but 1.9. I'm not saying this to be dramatic.
It affects the body.
It is faster than your mind. So
Faster than your mind.
yeah, well, faster than my mind. You're right. Maybe not your mind, but when you, for the very few times I've ever accelerated that fast in my Tesla, I am fully aware of the total danger because imagine going so fast that you're still mentally in one position
Stopped.
and your car is half a mile ahead of you.
Right.
So that mentally, that's just not a healthy way.
You're still starting to push the accelerator in your mind.
I only have one question. What happens when that thing hits 88 miles an hour?
He goes back in time. He goes back to 1958, as a matter of fact. His senior year at Palm Beach
There
High.
you go.
At the Under the Sea dance. All right, we have an actual comment from a listener. Paul Anderson on Facebook says oil should be changed at 3,000 to 6,000 miles if it's full synthetic. The reason why manufacturers say 10,000 miles is to make it appear maintenance costs would appear lower. And that's Paul's theory.
Well, these people believe in these things strongly, and I guarantee you we have some techs now that I don't think Rick is one of them, maybe you are, that you actually they love their vehicles. I mean, you love your vehicle and you want to take care of it and you want to be sure that it's okay. It's almost like a dog, it's like
Right.
your pet.
Like if you told me I had to feed my dog once a week and that was good enough, I'm like, nah.
Yeah, so I don't take that away from you. If you feel better to change your oil every 3 months, go ahead and change it. If you can afford it, go ahead and do it.
It may not help, but it can't hurt.
Yeah, it can't hurt, right?
Oh, and Donovan just came in. He says the Demon has actually already been beaten
Oh, no.
by the Lucid Air Sapphire, which is 1,200 plus horsepower and even faster.
Oh.
Lucid is an electric car, electric startup there, like super luxury car.
I didn't know that. I didn't know. They're still saying
Wow.
that Tesla is the fastest. So the Lucid, what's the model?
Air Sapphire.
Is that out yet? Or is that coming?
I'm wondering, Donovan, if you know, is that Air Sapphire out for sale right now, or is still on its way?
Maybe I'll go get one of those.
Man,
Let me see. Let me look it up. Air Sapphire. How much do those cost?
How do you spell Sapphire?
SAFF.
SAPPHIRE.
Yeah.
All right, let me get to this. We have another text to hear. This Bob says, with miles per gallon, everyone's minds. I've had this experience for the last 20 years. Approximately, I've had 3 new Toyotas. On each one, I changed the air filter to a filter that allows more airflow. The result's been, for me, 1 to 3 more miles per gallon. Why haven't the manufacturers capitalized on this if they're so concerned on MPG? FYI, the brand I use starts with a K and ends with an N.
Yeah, it's K and N. By the way, those K and N reusable air filters.
That's all it is, K and N.
Yeah.
Thanks, Bob.
They require special maintenance. You have to take the filter out, buy a special kit that has cleaner fluids that you wash it with. Then you have to re-oil it, and it takes several applications of the oil. It has to soak in several times before you can put it back together. It's a several-hour adventure.
Ooh.
And it costs like $60 to $80.
How often does it have to be done?
About every 30,000 miles is recommended,
Okay.
if not more often. Whereas a factory paper filter, you can simply change that out in 5 minutes. And if you buy aftermarket, you're looking at $10 to $15, $20. Factory filters are $50 to $60. And the reason the manufacturer likes it is because they keep getting to sell you that very inexpensive but highly marked up paper filter over and over. So
it's worth it if you can have the time, you know what you're getting into. Every 30,000 miles, you got to take an afternoon, and you're not driving that car, and you're getting the filter all cleaned and prepped to go back in. So it's a permanent, like, it goes back in, you use it for 30,000 miles and use it for another 30,000?
Yep.
That's crazy.
Back on the Lucid Sapphire, that is supposedly faster, and that it will 1,200 horsepower. It's going to be introduced, it said this year. So it may have already been introduced.
It's also $250,000.
Donovan, yeah, he
According to
says you can order it.
250,000.
Yeah.
It's
That's a lot of-
250,000, and he also says the Plaid just got unlocked to go above the 200 mile per hour speed limit, and they can add more power with software if they want. So, if you were to travel out to Montana, where there are roads there with no legal speed limit, provided you're driving within safe responsibility of your vehicle.
And you're unhappy with your
Either
life.
that or I
and
could go to the
you've decided that
Sawgrass
you want it all
Expressway.
to end.
They don't have a speed limit there.
Oh,
either.
yeah, you could do 200 there.
Headed out to
There's a lot of
Montana.
people like
All
that.
I can say is good luck, boss, and
Goodbye,
I hope your
cruel
wheel's
world.
up to date.
Oh my
Stu's
God!
turned into a
this,
comedian.
it's going to be it's a whole new generation of gearheads. The software tweakers. And when you said unlocked, I'm like, well, no crap. You can unlock an iPhone, which is very controlled by Apple, to do it, make it do whatever you want it to do, and you can unlock probably a Tesla to make it do whatever you want to do. It's going to be a fast, crazy future.
Absolutely. I think we're getting pretty close to our mystery shop. What do you think, guys?
Oh yeah.
Want to do
It's
this?
time.
Okay.
Let me do this. I have one other Tesla thing. I kept my mouth buttoned on Tesla for most of the show.
You've done well.
Did I talk about this last week? I've got 3 strikes on me now on my Tesla.
You didn't bring everybody up to date
And-
from the
and-
from
and
the
so
last.
I don't know
which
why.
I was in the car.
Anybody out? I think I talked about it last week, but I'm going to repeat my plea. Anybody out there with Teslas that want to use autonomous, you know how they measure your hands on the wheel and the rest of it, and if you break the rules, they give you a strike. Well, right away, Nancy got a strike, I got a strike, we had 2 strikes, and everything was fine. Of course, Nancy wouldn't let me put the autonomous on when she was in the car.
I think I know
so
what
I put
happened.
it on the other day when she was in the car, and I drove about 15 miles fine. All of a sudden, it hit me
Strike.
with a strike, and I had my hands on the wheel. I don't know why.
I thought Nancy might have sabotaged it.
She might have, yeah.
I told him I did. I
She
got a
was
camera.
there. Something.
I got a camera hooked up inside the Tesla. But what about the other strike? So I think you're short of strikes.
So you
I
lost
think,
it?
I think I think you got 4.
No, I've got 3.
So you guys can't do the autonomous anymore.
Okay, we need to check that because I think it's 4. No.
You have to get back up to 100, or what do you have to do?
Back
Never-
up to 100.
I don't know.
Well, there's
Never
new
mind.
rules now. Tesla's really relaxed everything. Okay, Jonathan's giving me Jonathan's in charge over there with the time. Hey, folks, don't forget to go to Earl on Cars and take a look at this new column that he wrote. Leasing a car is more costly in post-pandemic year. In this post-pandemic year, it's definitely worth reading. Go to Earl on Cars, and you'll be glad you did. As far as the mystery shop is concerned, vote. We really enjoy getting your votes in, and you can do that by texting us at 772-497-6530. We went to, Agent Lightning did a fantastic job, as I said earlier, and she went to Kia of Chattanooga, Tennessee. And of course, Stu wrote this, and what a magnificent job he does week in and week out. Now back to the recovering car dealer.
Okay, mystery shop of Kia of Chattanooga, and I was so happy that Agent Lightning chose to go in on the Telluride, to shop the Telluride. It was, I guess, the top pick in Consumer Reports. They really rave about this vehicle. So if you folks out there, this is, I'm holding it up for you streamers. The Kia Telluride got a score of 87, which is very good. And they basically say that this is just one of the best cars we've ever tested. So that's what Agent Lightning did when she walked into Kia of Chattanooga and see what would they charge for the best car, the Consumer Reports ranked in 2023. So here I am as if I were Agent Lightning. I arrived at Kia of Chattanooga mid-morning, was greeted by a young salesman as soon as I stepped out of my car. He asked if I was here to see anyone specifically. I told him I didn't have an appointment, just wanted to see if they had Tellurides in stock. He confirmed that they did and extended his hand to shake mine, introducing himself as Hayden. The fact that they have cars in stock tells you something. If you go into a car dealership today and you're looking for a specific model, and if they do have several cars of that vintage, the red flag should go up, because the reason they have several cars that are in inventory is because they're charging all the money for the car. They deliberately are going to maximize the price to you to minimize their inventory, but still have a few to get the last dollar out of you when you come in. If they're charging a fair price to you, chances are you'll have to order the car. And that has a price. People will pay a lot of money to get the car today. We have a caller, Marty, that calls in every week. He's been waiting 8 months for his car that he ordered from us. And that's the way it is if the prices are fair. If they're not fair, you're gonna have to pay thousands of dollars over. So here we go. I told the salesman I didn't have an appointment, just wanted to see if they had any Tellurides. He confirmed that they did and shook his hand. His name was Hayden. He asked me to follow him to where the one Telluride they had in stock was located. It was a new 2023 Kia Telluride S, all-wheel drive with an MSRP of $42,465. By the way, the Consumer Reports that ranks the Telluride the best car gave a price range of $35,890 to $52,985. That's a pretty wide range, and I'm sure they're looking at equipment and trim and other things, as well as the fact that you're not going to buy one at MSRP. And the high price, they said that they, in their experience, on a 2023 Telluride was call it $53,000. The 2023 Kia Telluride with MSRP had a $42,465, and here we are with the addendum decal next to the minority label, which included a $29.99 market adjustment, $4.99 for accessories, dealer-installed accessories, $1.99 for all-state theft protection. And that bothered me, Stu. Allstate.
I don't know if they are if they're providing etch to dealers, but that's what that is.
Well, we should have checked that out. I'll check it out. Let you know next week.
Maybe they spelled Allstate with one L.
Yeah. And $2.99 for Premier Defense, which was fabric and metal protection. Kia of Chattanooga's list price was $46,461, which was, call it $4,000 over MSRP. The car was locked, so Hayden excused himself to get the keys. Hayden was a salesperson, as I said, promising to return shortly. True to his word, he was back in less than 3 minutes. Hayden showed me the car's features, and then took me on a test drive. The 2023 model had 200 miles on it. When I mentioned this, he explained that someone had likely pre-ordered it and then changed their mind. I don't get that. It could be dealer trade. 200 miles is not a lot of miles to have on a new car. It happens.
Back these days it's rare, but it was very commonplace to have a car.
And remember, when you buy a new car with miles on it, that's added to the mileage warranty. So unless it's got a lot of miles, I mean like several thousand, but I think they will. Is there a limit on what they'll extend the mileage?
I know it's over the thousands. I mean, because they can put it. You can actually put it into a demo status. I think it's more likely it's the only Telluride they got in stock, and they're selling it. They're trying to sell it for whatever. So it's been driven a lot. It's been test driven.
I think you're right. Yeah. Back at the dealership, he asked if I liked the Telluride. I said I sure did, but I wasn't keen on the $29.99 market adjustment. He said he understood, but unfortunately, he couldn't remove it due to their low inventory. I mean, it's an honest answer. I expressed my hesitation about the markup, explaining that the car was meant for an investment property in Georgia. And Hayden suggested going inside so his sales manager could prepare a sales sheet to give me the exact final price. Well, we know where we're going now, right? Back and forth. I asked if there was any cash or financing incentives, but he said he doubted it, explaining that such offers were up to the manufacturer. He wasn't aware of any. I followed him to his desk, where he asked for my information, including where I planned to register the car. I told him this would be a first for me and asked if he knew the best way to handle it. Apparently, he understands Agent Lightning is from Florida, and they're buying the car in Georgia. He asked me to give him a minute to consult his sales manager since this was new territory for him as well. Sounds like a newbie, new salesperson. He returned shortly and told me I could register the car either here or at my home in Florida, Georgia or Florida. I chose the easier option for now. He left me at his desk and again to fetch the sales price sheet and returned a few minutes later with a worksheet. The market value selling price was the full pop. That was $46,461. Then they add the same stuff again, which is absurd.
They double dipped.
Double dip. So they've already priced it in once. Now they're going to price it in again. $199 for Allstate theft protection. And that's glass etch. And I just find it hard to believe that Allstate Insurance really has that as a product. It's a cheap product, been around for 20 years or longer with car dealers. It costs the dealer about $20-$30 to do the etch, and they charge.
They do on Allstate's website.
Oh.
Yeah.
Shame.
They like it.
Shame on you, Allstate.
It says it protects against auto theft.
Actually, I take back the shame on you. It's the price. It's the shame. Actually, the glass etch, it's not a bad idea.
Oh, I'm sorry. No. I'm sorry. This is just an information from Allstate about what etching is.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me keep looking.
If you have a glass etch on a car, it's kind of like webcams. The bad guy is going to go to the house that doesn't have the video security cameras, and why take a chance? So if you have glass etch and you get it at a fair price, which might be $50 or $60 to give the guy a profit, and you've got the glass etch, the potential car thief will go to the car next to it that doesn't have the glass etch because it's got the VIN number, and a cop can spot it, and it's just less safer for the thief to steal a car without the glass edge. Okay, now that I've done an endorsement for glass edge, and of course $299 for the Premier Defense, which is wax and fabric protection, which is a joke, for $300, crazy. Then they added a $799 processing fee, which Hayden said was a dealer fee, and we call it a junk fee. Hayden actually explained each item on the sheet without me asking. Now, that's unusual. I asked if there was any possibility of a price reduction, but he reiterated that it was highly doubtful due to their low inventory. Honest comment. I thanked him for his time and asked if I could take the sales sheet with me. He told me it was for internal use only, but offered to let me take a photo. Now, a lot of times they don't want you to take the photo. We haven't had Agent Lightning tackled yet or had the camera knocked out of her hand, but she has been risked confrontation by taking pictures. So there we have it, and we got pictures of all the documents, and we have someone in Chattanooga, Tennessee, charging thousands of dollars, $4,000 over MSRP.
Double dipping.
For a Kia Telluride.
By the way, Allstate Insurance does sell it. I looked up Allstate Vehicle Protection, and it's etched, but they use microdots, and I've heard of those before. They're little tiny sand grain-sized identification things that's supposedly in a national database, law enforcement, and that's part of the
if you have a theft deterrent products on your car, it is probably worth a reasonable amount of money, not a lot of money, because you're going to protect your car a little bit. A professional isn't going to pay attention to it, but the amateur that's out there for a joyride, he's going to steal a car that doesn't have the apparent theft protection on it. So we've got a vote, and we have a situation here, as we often have, where the treatment of the individual was not arrogant, it was not insulting. We don't know about the advertisement because the Agent Lightning went in just to say, I'm looking for Telluride. She didn't respond to an ad. Most of the times when we respond to an ad, we get into the nitty-gritty of legality because typically the advertisements are illegal, so we can't say anything about of advertised nature of Kia of Chattanooga, Tennessee, but we do have the behavior and the pricing of the salespeople, and we'd love to hear what your votes are.
Yeah, well, from Bob, we have an F minus. He says, if I'm in Chattanooga, I'd rather get some moon pies made by the Chattanooga Baking Company than shop at Kia of Chattanooga. I love moon pies. That's an old-fashioned treat right there, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Then Mark, still some dishonesty involved, C minus. And I'm with Mark a little bit more because the double dipping thing, maybe they just don't know what's going on. It's could he's programmed the computer just to load it in. I don't know, but it's we've learned to accept the higher prices as long as it's all been upfront and transparent. And there was some, it wasn't completely transparent here. So I'm going to give him a D.
I've got Tim Gilliland. What? No nitrogen? Nothing to see here, folks. Move along. C minus. Johnny Z. Fradley. D. Not as bad as many South Florida dealers. Okay. Scott Hunter. F. When do the addendums end? Rocky Blockatiel. D is for double dipping. Brian Sidlatko. Double dipping dealership deserves an F. Mark Smith with a D. Mark Ryan with a D. And Negan 1 F. No buy double dip. Myself, the double dip kind of.
Yeah, double dip.
I'll go with a D on it because you could obviously, when you argue that, they're going to take that off. But still, the market addendum, D.
Yeah, I sometimes I feel guilty myself when I come down on a dealer for charging high prices, because if I look at the macro thing of pricing, this is the way products are priced. Diamonds are very rare, and so you pay a whole lot of money. Like a particular pink diamond or of particular cut or particular size. It's all about supply and demand. So the car dealers found themselves in a very, very short supply, consequently a very, very high demand, and they followed the rules of supply and demand. With total honesty and transparency, I find it difficult to punish a dealer for charging a lot of money as long as he's transparent and honest about the fact. And this salesperson did say a couple times, we can't lower the price because of the scarcity of the product, and we just don't have. We only got one or whatever he had in stock.
You're making me feel guilty.
Well,
D plus.
And what would you give them? What would your vote be?
I'm like I go along with what Rick said. The double dip was the only real strike I see against him. I'm going to give him a C minus.
Okay. Double dipping really sours the deal for me, and I give him a D minus.
Okay.
Right. I think that's it.
Doing business the right way. All that's going to happen with these dealerships, if they chose to do business the right way, is that I'll tell you what, it's so easy. We're not reinventing the wheel here. Your business is going to double, triple, and people are going to come to you. They're going to believe in you, and that's the bottom line. So. There's just so much lying being done today, and maybe there's too many people watching TikTok.
But when you come into a car dealership and they give you an obscenely high price on a car, and they are honest with you about that's the price and that's the end of it, at least you have the opportunity to go out and shop and compare and find a lower price somewhere. It's when they won't give you the price, or they give you the price that's not really the price, and they bump it up when you come back. That's the sin that gets an F out of me.
I think there's also a possibility that that's an error, because to get something to print on these worksheets, we always see the final product.
Yeah.
Setting it up is kind of hard, and sometimes it gets screwed. I see things mislabeled all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they're trying to collect this worthless, this dealer added stuff is worthless, but it might have been a mistake to add it up. I was a little surprised though, just in Chattanooga, Tennessee, to see something pricing like this. I thought for sure in Chattanooga it was just going to be like mom and pop and no dealer fees and all that.
And moon pies.
Yeah, this was kind of like Fort Lauderdale. And moon pies, right.
Isn't that something? That's quite a statement. It's just like Fort Lauderdale.
All right.
Okay. Did you? We have a couple minutes left. Do you
Yeah,
want to?
I was just thinking about the evolution of the car business, and I don't know the answer to this, but I think that when this whole supply-demand situation is behind us, and production steadies and flows, and there's no more. Well, the microchip shortages, for all intents and purposes, is gone. I mean, it's hardly a factor now at all. But there's some other factors. I have a feeling that you're going to see more and more people ordering cars. I think you're going to see people being more specific about what they want. And I think the manufacturers are going to be better about building the cars quicker. I believe they're going to be more regional distribution areas. So it makes sense. You go in, you're going to spend $50,000 or $60,000 on a product. You want what you want. You want your color. You want your trim. You want your accessories. You want what you want for that price. And if you have to wait 3 weeks or a month and a half, now I agree with you. You don't want to wait a year. You don't want to wait 8 months. But if it's a month or about that, you want what you want. So I don't think car dealers are going to have 1,000 cars in stock.
They might have some, but if you're flexible on some, there might be a few to choose. But most people are buying their phones online right now.
Yeah.
You wait 6 weeks for your phone.
Yeah. The old way was the honky talk, the flyby. You come in and you get it delivered out of stock and you roll them and you don't give their money back no matter what. Those days are gone. I think people are going to be ordering their vehicles. And we'll see if I'm right. We'll know in about a year.
Absolutely. Well, folks, here we are at the end of another show. What a great show. And because of you, viewing in Facebook, YouTube, and sending us your texts and just being a big part of the show, we definitely enjoy your company. Stay tuned next week, same time. We'll be right here at 8 a.m. Have a wonderful weekend.